Okay. Okay. Hello. 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 Please, in fact, this is for all the dear colleagues who are with us now and who will, the session is recorded, so many will hear it after. We are honored today that you are with us today. And you are always with us because you are co-leader of the leader of this initiative and directing this course with our faculty, and also besides the titles and many things that we exposed since minutes about you, and really you have more positions than this. Your support and your leadership for this initiative is very important with all the distinguished faculty, because I think this is maybe the only scientific hope to go out of the crisis, increasing crisis that are going now in the world. And in the video that you will present now, uh, 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 you really highlighted this point. I would like that if you give us the honor, just 2 3 minutes for introduction for your great personality and your great involvement and leadership. Thank you, David.
That's very kind of you, Ahmed. I've already apologized to our colleagues. I have influenza and laryngitis just now, so I apologize. My voice is very weak. It's always a great honor to stand beside my dear friend Ahmed El-Zawi, whom I've known for more than 20 years, and his pioneering work in thinking through the win-win collaboration, how we can use our understanding of science. And when I say science, I mean the clinical application of our medical training. I mean translational science, understanding the clinical pharmacology as to how we deliver drugs. And of course, cancer biology, and seeing what we can do to unite these different themes or strands to come up with what we call personalized medicine. For Ahmed and I do beg your pardon. For Ahmed and I, personalized medicine is not just about understanding the molecular genetics of a tumor, but it's how can we take all the information that are developed, that are available during drug development, during development of different radiotherapy regimes, and understanding what the optimal point of delivery is. And when we think about personalized medicine, every single time that we see a patient, we're practicing precision cancer medicine. We take account of age, we take account of performance status, excuse me, we take account of liver and renal function and so on, and we adapt these bits of information to deliver the optimal regime that we can. He and I share a strong belief that we can do better in terms of making more widely available the radiotherapy regimes, the drug regimes that we develop in the West, and how we can adapt these for use more widely in those countries which have got different income settings and which, unlike me, do not have access to universal health care or a socialized healthcare system as we have in the NHS in United Kingdom. Everything that Ahmed says, everything that we do together, we can demonstrate the evidence base for that which we do. And I think that's perhaps the most important message of our meeting this afternoon, that all the recommendations that we make in terms of guideline, in terms of advice, must have a strong base in evidence, and evidence which is epidemiological, biological, pharmacological, and so on. So it's great to join you. Again, I'm apologizing for my very strange voice, which is failing even as we speak. But I do commend this session to you, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing Ahmed's own lectures on the topic. Thank you very much. Shukran.
Speak. Hello. I am really deeply sorry, David, for your influenza. Take care, please, and please for Rachel also, because it's infectious, very infectious, as you know. We enjoy now to listen to your short but very precious video now together.
Hello, I'm David Kerr, Professor of Cancer Medicine from University of Oxford. So let me bring you warm words of welcome from our dreaming spires. You can see the rather beautiful city of Oxford and its ancient university laid out behind me. We're over 900 years old, so we're one of the oldest universities in the world. With the drugs, the treatment that we already have. Oxford is one of the best medical schools in the world, of course. We have some fantastic scientists, Nobel laureates, people pushing at the very cutting edge of science, looking for new treatments, trying to better understand the biology of cancer. Of course we have. But within that, we still consider the win-win promise, the idea to seek better value cancer care that my dear friend, Professor Ahmed, has discussed and put forward during this course is terribly important. Can we do better with the treatments that we have available? For me as a medical oncologist, can we teach old drugs new tricks? Can we squeeze every last bit of value out of the drugs that we've got? And I've got to say that Ahmed has been one of the world's great proponents as to how we might be able to do that in his win-win initiative. And this is based on science. This is based on understanding pharmacology, understanding drug delivery, and understanding above all dosing. If you think about how we treat cancer patients, although we've made great advances in terms of understanding the biology of cancer, the genetics of it, we cannot control the somatic, tumoral, mutational landscape. It is what it is. What we can control, though, is how we deliver the drugs, the treatments, the radiotherapy, even the surgery that's available to us to make it as effective, but also as cost-effective as possible. And therefore, by understanding better relating drug concentrations to effect, by revisiting phase 1 trials, for trying to understand what the dose-response relationship is, I think that we could do much, much better. Our dear friend Ian Tannock from Canada has done some great work in this field recently. He published some work looking at the dose-response curves for immune checkpoint inhibitors and showed, I think convincingly, published it, that we can probably, for the doses that we're giving just now, we could probably treat 8 patients instead of 1 without losing any form of efficacy. So that sort of sense that we've got to treat at the maximum tolerated dose, we've got to give the maximum dose, often isn't the case. And by stepping back, reviewing carefully the phase 1 data, looking at what dose causes the best effects, we can get more out of the drugs that we use. So plausible, scientific, evidence-based. I'm still interested in the concept of metronomic chemotherapy, low-dose oral chemotherapy, that again is plausible. For those of us who were brought up understanding the cell cycle, the various phases of DNA synthesis, we know often that prolonged exposure to low concentrations is more effective than a short, sharp, high-dose bolus. and the chemotherapy is much better tolerated when given in that way. Ahmed will give you many other examples as to how, as a community, we can do better with the drugs that we've got. Now, of course, I encourage you to take part in the sort of research that we're involved in Oxford, moving the science forward. But at the same time, I think that we should be doing the best we can and to explore in a systematic way how we can get better value out of the cancer treatments that we have available. Thanks for listening, as always. It's great to be a part of this course in a very small way. And again, 1,000 congratulations to my friend Ahmed for his tireless work, his extraordinary energy, and the fact that he flies the flag for his win-win initiative better than anyone I know. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, David, for that. Once again, we are sorry for your this cold or influenza. And I know that you have a commitment. So if instead of waiting till the end of the session, if any of the colleagues now want to ask you a question or have raising a point for 5 minutes before you go to your appointment, very thank you, and we'll forward you the session and all other sessions, and we'll have together this news also that we may have big meetings after in March and April, panels to discuss what we said here. View by many. I would like that if you invite Ayan Tanok to one of these sessions or two sessions, panels, and it is free to think thoroughly and brainstorming, because I think the outcome will be very important. Thank you, David. Thank you very much. If any colleague would like to pose a question quickly for Professor David Kerr. Any question? Is there
Always asking questions of professors from Oxford is very difficult. People are very, very shy. But I do hope that we can meet face to face, because when we sit in a circle, it's much easier for us to be able to interact and talk. So I do hope to meet you all sometime soon. And again, thanks for attending this important session.
That we'll do in panels, and it will have interactive and question, and the formulation of the recommendation at the end formulated with the outcome from all panels, and we discuss the pros and cons and all what we are saying. Nothing is absolute in science, as you know. So thank you very much, David, and please be with us till 4:30, and we'll start the next session in the next lecture. Okay, Mahmoud, please do.
Hello all. Today we present a very exciting topic, but it is outline of. It will be outline of the upcoming 7 lectures of the 7 groups of. Is very exciting and very relevant and important in our GOIS lecture, Global Oncology Implementing Science. This is about examples of scientific exploration for resource-saving, better value cancer drug systemic therapy. This is the first group of started today with the outlines, then 7 lectures in upcoming sessions, in upcoming weeks. And then will be the second group, will be about a very exciting issue about radiotherapy, about solar power radiotherapy, about publications, about movement publications, about many example of scientific success in collaboration and cooperation and achieving some very promising progress. I am Ahmed Zawawi, as you know, and I'm chair the Win-Win and chair board of directors of Global Oncology University. And as we explained before, the interpretation of the word chair or director in the Win-Win is the modest colleague who facilitate or for distinguish his distinguished colleagues and professors. So we have very distinguished professors and colleagues from all over the world, and all are very skillful and very knowledgeable, and very what combine us together is our focus on increasing on how to increase affordability of better value cancer care in the world via scientific approaches, win-win scenarios with dignity for all in the world. Regardless of their nationality, country, religion, or whatever, color, or whatever, for all under millions of underserved cancer patients in the world, in the rich countries and in less rich country, and in low middle income countries, or all, we are global. But this will be achieved by all of you again. This is just, we advocate for this work, for this, but it is yours, all of you, and will have only value if you are all, the old, the older, the old, and the young generation. Even there is more hopes and stress on our younger generation, because they will continue, and we are my generation will leave sooner or later. Okay, going now to work. Based mainly on chapter 15, approaching global oncology, the win-win model. You have the link and disclosure of conflicts, nothing. As you know, you notice that in most of our slides that the next text is not short, as I repeat always within our discourse, because as much as possible we add references, and it is intentionally to be used as PDF material for all who would like to receive a copy. Please, if you like to receive a copy of any of lectures, please send to me any of my lectures. Along the GOIS program in this short lecture, we don't only transfer some information in a passive way, but also we raise brainstorming points. We repeat this always. Brainstorming, welcome all to add, to change and to modify, but based on science. Your feedback is considered. As we agreed together in the Win-Win Initiative, we adopted the flexibility of thought, free flow of ideas, classical and innovative approaches, and that all be focused on scientific and practical implementation in order to serve the goal of to increase the affordability of better value cancer care in the real world. As you know, the course directors led by Professor Eduardo Cazab, Professor David Kerr, Professor Kiro Sikora, Professor Wilfred Negua, Professor Cristina Stefan, Professor Tualib Ngoma, Professor Ricardo Audizio, and Professor Lika Nkrochi. Surely, this is just the course director and with me of this program, but there are more than 100 distinguished contributors and leaders in contributing in this book and this work and our program, and we need more hundreds to lead and to go forward. We are just modest advocate. I am just a modest advocate. Introduction in this group of sessions based on chapter 15 plus update. We present example of literature describing the scientific study that could reduce the total cost of systemic treatment without compromising outcomes of patients. Some of the cited approaches lead to a decreasing the need for chemotherapy hospitalization and eventually the total cost. As we mentioned in the previous chapters, most of the presented examples take breast cancer as a model that could be expanded to other cancer models. Again, we repeat this question: is that scientifically feasible to lower remarkably the total cost of cancer care without compromising the outcome on patients? We stress on yes, 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 based on science and with all of you. Lecture 1 of 7, the outline of lecture 1 of 7 is decreasing the needs for chemotherapy hospitalization. These outpatient regimes, some of the known oral cancer drugs, breast cancer example like capecitabine, cyclophosphamide, vinorelbine, etopside, and the oral hormonal therapy like tamoxifen, anastrozole, letrozole, exemestane, and progesterone. All these are all and valuable and very valuable oral cancer drug. Example of new oral drugs like oral taxane, and I give example of this. And this is will be in the lecture. In this lecture we outline in the upcoming lecture. But in this lecture, not to be lost in many items, in the beginning this lecture we give outlines of the 7 lecture. Then we'll start with the first lecture in detail. All details will be present in the upcoming lectures. Oral taxane, we give this example. Ongoing development of other chemotherapy routes, subcutaneous trastuzumab, pertuzumab. Another new exciting example of mode of administration is transdermal estradiol in prostate cancer. It's very exciting and very interesting, really, and it's not expensive. A new nebulizer, if it is followed a good policy on production, many things. A new nebulizer device for treating lung cancer with a chemotherapy drug cisplatin. So the patient will receive this treatment by himself, a nebulizer at home, with many advantages. It will be said in details after in the upcoming lectures. Pharmacokinetic study have taken place with the aim of lowering the drug dose and therefore the cost by changing the infusion regime. This is very interesting also approach. Less frequent cycle of comparable efficacy. This zoledronic acid zometa every 12 weeks instead of 4 weeks in bone metastasis. I say this with reserve, but this is one of some of the interesting study. You can adjust according to your patients, but this is an option at present. Nivolumab, atezolizumab. You'll find very interesting point about this will be explained in detail in less frequent cycle with comparable efficacy. Pembrolizumab dosing every 8 to 12 weeks. Shorter courses, trastuzumab, all of you know this, could be an option for HER2 positive early breast cancer. Lecture 3 of 7, dose optimization of new oncology drugs. This is very important, as Professor David Kerr say, optimization with stress on this is very important. And many stress on this. What we need now, wide implementation. Implementing this. We have a plea from Professor Mark Ratan and Alan Richter to empower the PDA. And the detail in our upcoming lectures also. Example of proposal of scientific studies that aim to lower the dosage while retaining comparable efficacy. Very exciting. Iprotinib be used in patients with chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Another example, erlotinib, Tarceva, used in patients with non-small lung cancer and pancreatic tumors. Dasatinib used in to treat certain type of chronic myeloid leukemias. Pembrolizumab used in patients with non-small lung cancer, melanoma, head and neck cancer, converting from that 200 milligram to 2 milligram per kilogram dose of Pembro. Personalized dosing of Pembro also. So it is. There are many examples of that to lower the dosage while retaining the comparable efficacy. We give details. We give scientific detail. Lecture 4 of 7, example of reduction of dose using food effect and drug interaction throughout through a pharmacokinetic used study. We are speaking about science. We are not speaking about tears and help patients. No, we help through science, through our work, all of us. This is the biggest help to patients and to our human being in these planets. Lepitanib converting from 1,250 milligram fasting to 500 with food. All of you read this before me, I see, I hope so. Abiraterone converting from 1,000 with fasting to 250 milligram with food. You see the same, how the same with comparable result. Even you will see in detail that it could be better in some aspect. Yes, not only in cost. Bazopanib converting from 800 milligram to fasting to 6 milligram is not much, but yes, but for patients, it's worthwhile. Seratinib capsule converting from 750 with fasting food to 450 milligram with food. Venetoclax or Vinclexta. We used to say Venetoclax. A capsule converting from 400 milligram or 600 milligram to 770 milligram daily when taken with 300 milligram bazoconazole. It is antifungal and it is not bad for acute myeloid leukemia. Update of December 2023, just a few days ago. Venetoclax help narrow racial survival disparity in non-Hispanic Black patients with acute myeloid leukemia in the USA. This is presented in ASH 2023. So instead of complaining, and in the last year there are thousands of articles about disparity, equality, presentation. In UK, only about 200, more than 200 articles about disparity, equality. If 90% of this work concentrated in how to do by science and not just to record the magnitude of the problem or to complain of some theoretical recommendation or declaration or something like this. This example of Venetoclax could reduce or could contribute in reducing disparity among African Americans who have acute myeloid leukemia for adults. But it could be also used in other scientific approach for other drugs and many others in many parts of the world, particularly in Africa, in Latin America, in South Asia, in many parts of the world, and in Europe, yes, and East Europe, and even West Europe. They can cope with the skyrocketing increase of price of drugs. Generic equivalent and biosimilar of cancer chemotherapy drugs. Please give your opinion on the details that I will give in the lecture about this. It's lecture 4 about generic equivalent and biosimilar of cancer chemotherapy, because all repeat this as is the magic stick that will solve everything. No, it is not like that easy, but it could be help a lot with some conditions that we'll mention in lecture 4. Repurposing and repositioning drugs, and we stress on repurposing and drugs and medical device, and this will be the issue of 3 lectures after. One of them will be presented by Dr. Claire Stebido, who is the Vice President of Cure Within Reach, and giving opportunity and grants for how to push research in repurposing in the world. Lecture 5 of 7, pharmacogenomic study and value-based treatment. Evidence-based medicine could reduce cost and achieve equal or better outcomes. Yes, yes, yes. Lecture 7 of 7, control of the utilization of drug as primary strategy. Then we'll present with a win-win notion and initiative, a pharmaceutical response to interventional pharmacoeconomic study that choosing wisely initiative and other scientific initiative would contribute in reducing the cost of cancer drugs treatment, systemic cancer drugs treatment. Repairing one of the important aspects is we are in the real world. We should deal with the real world and consider that repairing the compensation system used for the oncology in the USA as an example, because it's very important in the big market, but in other countries. And this would help in stop of brain drain. So it is important to consider this point, to be realistic in the real world. If we are serious, we would like to really achieve better access to cancer care in the world. This should be professionals, medical professionals, and how will be compensated. So it is applied for the rich and with the variability, but applied for all the world, but with variability, and that goes with the condition of the community and with the satisfaction of realistic satisfaction of income of the healthcare giver. That is, if we want to be realistic in the real world, is that possible? Yes. Is that possible if there are many smart ways, not to repeat the historical thing and historical trials. There are many smart ways in which all will gain and all will win. Note update of December also to 2023, just a few days ago, I was reading that, and I noted this, I added it, an expensive plus test to recognize which group of post-menopausal women would anastrozole be of value in prevention of breast cancer. This is also not only treatment, but also aspect how to lower the cost of prevention and to be scientific and of value. Final notes of some other of chapter 15. I give some notes there, and I await your feedback. Criticize, or critical appraisal, or modification, or more suggestion. But this is your initiative. This is your movement. Please go forward and lead. Thank you very much, and for all your feedback, we welcome all, and we are going forward, as we said, always hand in hand. Thank you all. Thank you.
Hello. Hello all. I am Ahmed El-Zawawi. Today we have part one of the 7 lectures about examples of scientific exploration for resource saving, better value cancer drug systemic therapy. It's based on chapter 15 of our book, Approaching Global Oncology, the Win-Win Model, and with updates surely, and with discussion on continuous discussion. The slides are prepared, who helped me really in the slides, Dr. Vivi El Said, and reviewed by me. In this section of Module 3, the Win-Win Movement highlights example of literature and publication of many authors that present scientific studies that could reduce the total cost of systemic cancer treatment without compromising outcomes for patients. I don't claim that I invent anything. I stress on this always in such initiative. It's based on scientific examples published by many authors. First, decreasing the need of chemotherapy hospitalization. Some of the approaches lead to decreasing the needs for chemotherapy hospitalization and eventually for the total cost. By the way, it's not only the total cost. This is the comfort of the patient. I was just reading last week to a reminder of some articles that speaking about mothers who have to go a lot to hospital, to cancer care, for infusion, and then they left the children. They need sometimes extra cost and extra care, and so for the kids and for the home. So it is when we list the hospitalization, we listen when we listen many things. Surely all this could be with smart approaches in which all could be involved, even hospital who gain money from this, from hospitalization. So should be all within a global and broad-minded approaches that in which all will win, all will work more, all will retreat more, all will many patients will get more quality of life and better value cancer care. As we mentioned in the previous chapter, most of the present example takes breast cancer as a model, and that could be expanded to other cancer as a whole. Outpatient regimes in most cancer treatments, the use of intravenous infusion chemotherapy protocols that require fewer hospitalization is possible. There are already options for outpatient patients regime and oral therapy. However, there is a need to develop more of this protocol based on scientific, pharmacological, and clinical information studies and innovative research. The adoption of this policy by Cancer Society is and its advocacy by such society and the awareness of oncologists about the increasing necessity to listen to hospitalization for chemotherapy are required. And this should be a global discussion in scientific meetings and conferences. This could be one of the issues, one of many issues needed for that we raise in our approaches here, and it is not ours, but based on the work of many in the world. We can learn from the crisis of COVID-19 pandemic and the shift to more outpatient regime for cancer patients. One example is a shift to the combination of oral capecitabine and IV outpatient cisplatin or oxaliplatin in colorectal cancer, replacing as far as possible protocols that necessitate admission to hospital. The oral route of systemic cancer therapy. The oral route for administration of chemotherapy could lower the cost of patient transportation, the administration of drugs by infusion, hospitalization, and the subsequent cost of the adverse effects of hospitalization, as we mentioned. The potential to receive an oral formulation would be a good option for patients, as it allows more convenient administration, require less time to spend at an infusion center, and offers the potential that many patients may not need a portacas or other access device. Hence, it could lower the total cost by reducing the cost of patient transport, drug infusion, hospitalization. Moreover, it may improve quality of life, potentially lessen the burden, and be relatively more comfortable for patients and families. Here's reference to some of the known oral cancer drugs. There are already several oral cancer drugs showed responsive breast cancer, like capecitabine, cyclophosphamide, vinorabine, etoposide, and the oral hormonal therapy like tamoxifen and estradiol, and other hormonal therapy, like progesterones and exemestane. So there are we see breast cancer as an example, but could be expanded to other cancers. But we just see this example as a model. Example of new oral cancer drugs more pharmacological and clinical research for developing oral form are warranted. Hence, most known cancer would have regimes of treatment that can totally or partially administered via oral route. The pros and cons of route administration of chemotherapy should be carefully studied in each community in a scientific and realistic way. For the new drugs, we recommend more pricing revision to be realistic for oral drugs and the other forms of non-intravenous infusion in order to be competitive or not much higher than the total cost of drugs plus the cost of administration, medical staff, and hospitalization. But if it is very high, then it will be an obstacle to use it for millions of patients. Oral taxane is an example, but there is some reserve about it. But I see it as an example of scientific work. In the category of first-line single-agent treatment, an oral taxane, docetaxel, produced confirmed response in 45% of 38 patients with HER2-negative hormone receptor-positive metastatic breast cancer and stable disease in 37%, yielding a clinical benefit rate of 82%. 559 patients have been treated with docetaxel, including 496 who received it as a monotherapy and 63 patients in combination with capecitabine. This is a reference for both studies. Show here, and the metastatic breast cancer, the docetaxel shown significant single-agent activity in 2 multi-center phase 2 trials. Unlike paclitaxel and docetaxel has potent activity against P-glycoprotein over-expressing tumors. The P-glycoprotein efflux pump mediates gastrointestinal absorption as well as chemotherapy resistance. Since docetaxel is not pumped out by P-glycoprotein, it does not need to be given intravenously. The drug is more bioavailable and then other taxanes, and is highly soluble. So it does not require solubilizing agents as polyisoxylated castor oil, and accordingly, it removes the need for prophylactic steroids. You know, one of the problems is this polyisoxylated castor oil. And we need some prophylaxis for it. It has half-life about 8 days, which allows to be active for the whole 21-day cycle. The oral drug is given every 3 weeks and is associated with less alopecia. Well, some of the advantage, less alopecia and neuropathy. Then the level of alopecia and neuropathy is historically reported for parenteral taxanes. Over 1,200 people have been treated with docetaxel in 26 clinical trials. In 19 studies, it was administered as monotherapy, and it was administered as in a combination regime in the remaining 7 studies. However, despite of all this, because there are many things that we don't understand, unfortunately, according to a press release issued by Odonate Therapeutics on March 23, 2021, the clinical package data for docetaxel is unlikely to support FDA approval. Therefore, clinical development of the oral chemotherapy agent docetaxel is being discontinued for the treatment of metastatic breast cancer, colorectal cancer, and other solid tumors after FDA provided feedback on the new drug application. And here is the reference, you find it. Ongoing development of other chemotherapy routes, ready to use for formulation for subcutaneous administration significantly reduce pharmacy time, as no medicine preparation is required. For example, subcutaneous trastuzumab and pertuzumab, the FDA approved as a subcutaneous trastuzumab and formulation for HER2 breast cancer. Moreover, the randomized open label phase 3 was called the phase 3 FIDERICA trial. Tested the safety profile of subcutaneous pertuzumab and trastuzumab plus hyaluronidase in 500 patients with HER2 positive early breast cancer and showed them to be inferior to IV infusion, to be non-inferior to IV infusions. Overall, the evidence shows that subcutaneous administration of monoclonal antibodies offer a faster, more convenient, and less invasive treatment option for HER2 positive breast cancer than IV infusion. Subcutaneous rituximab. The subcutaneous administration of rituximab has been used for patients with CD20 positive non-Hodgkin lymphoma, CD20 positive diffuse large B-cell lymphoma or follicular lymphoma, and chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Patient received rituximab intravenously, followed by a single dose of rituximab subcutaneously at one of the three fixed doses, 1,400, 1,600, or 1,870 milligram in cycle 6. The primary objective was to identify a fixed subcutaneous dose that would achieve comparable rituximab serum through in concentration to those achieved with standard 4-weekly 500 milligram rituximab intravenous. This was the objective of the study. And here is the reference. Over 80% of patients preferred subcutaneous rituximab over intravenous. The most common reason cited was less time spent in clinic. This among about 69% of patients feeling comfortable during administration, 35% of patients and less emotional distress. Satisfaction surveys were also administered as part of the MAP-EASE study, which showed higher scores for impact on the activities of daily living, convenience, and satisfaction when comparing subcutaneous rituximab with intravenous rituximab. Although the literature supports improved patient satisfaction with subcutaneous formulation, the decision to switch from intravenous to subcutaneous should be made only after thorough discussion with the patient, as some few patients may experience needle phobia or otherwise prefer IV administrations. So everything should be studied in the real world. This is science, as we are agreed together. Here is a reference. Another new exciting example of mode administration is transdermal estradiol in prostate cancer. It produced an effective tumor response. Cardiovascular toxicity and other morbidities are substantially reduced compared with those expected of oral estrogen. The incidence of gynecomastia was negligible. The transdermal estradiol therapy prevented symptoms and prevented andropause symptoms, improved quality of life score, and increased bone density. Transdermal estradiol costs 1/10 of the current therapy cost. This is a very important point. Transdermal estradiol cost 1/10 of the current therapy cost, with the potential for considerable economic saving compared to conventional hormone therapy. And here is the reference. Cisplatin nebulizer for lung cancer, immunonebulizer device for treating lung cancer with chemotherapy drug cisplatin could deliver small doses with result in quicker response without the potential of renal damage, which arise with the current intravenous method of administration. And it is very comfortable to patients, small doses. The use of pulmonary route is a promising way to decrease the severe toxicity associated with chemotherapy. Inhaled chemotherapy has been proven to be feasible and safe in phase 1, 1B, and 2A and 2 of clinical trials. Inhalation allows high drug doses to be administered directly to lung tumors without prior distribution in the organism. Severe systemic toxicity are consequently reduced. However, the lack of improvement in the benefit-risk ratio compared with the conventional chemotherapy, in addition to the higher financial cost due to requirement for specific hospital facility and inhalation procedures that limit environmental contamination, mean that inhalation has been underexploited in lung tumor therapy. Nevertheless, a changing trend has been observed in the past decade with the introduction of new pharmaceutical technologies, such as particles and nanomedicine, nanoparticle and nanomedicine. This is the end of part 1 of 7. Thank you all. We count on all of you to advocate for this message and to lead these global initiatives that belongs to all of you, the older, the old, the younger, the professors, the residents, all the scientists, researchers, industries, community, all stakeholders. It belongs to all. It will succeed, and it will succeed only by you. We don't claim any praise or any glory. All your feedback, suggestion, and contribution are welcome. Thank you all. Going forward in fruitful cooperation. Thank you all. Bye. And if you give us some of your precious comment, because we have a season very hot and very hectic in the upcoming lectures, all about how to reduce by science the cost of drugs. Then we'll pass after with radiotherapy for other modalities of cancer. And we need your advocacy. As you see, the attendees are not much, because if we have a session about some of the pharmaceutical drugs supported, or some galadinas after, we'll have a lot of people. But that is why your presence, your leadership is important, because we carry the message, not this session, but this video. You carry the message with your advice and support. So please, Professor Christina.
Hi, everybody. So very excited to be here. Happy New Year to all of you. I mean, there are not many people attending, but I suppose it's because some of them, they are still on holiday. However, I think, it was another great lecture. I mean, I truly enjoyed David Kerr's talk, and obviously Professor Ahmed's presentation. So I think it is a lot of learning, a lot of teaching, even, if it's only the beginning of the year. So congratulations for another really great and very useful lecture. I mean, as you know, I have been asked to add few comments, and of course, I'm not going to add to the lectures as such, but maybe some reflections, and maybe one idea which just crossed my mind while I was listening to you. What about trying to get some funding and having some face-to-face lectures? Perhaps, if we could arrange something in I don't know, I would suggest Egypt because it is a country which is very close to my heart, and I would definitely like to be back there. And perhaps we could organize, I don't know, maybe a 3-day lecture where we could have, debates, interactions between us face to face, just to add to what you are learning, and obviously to the virtual lecture. So that is something that crossed my mind. Secondly, it would be extremely useful if we could get from the participants maybe topics that they are really interested that we could debate more than what exists already in the book. Something like redefining global oncology, something that I'm also very interested in, innovation, and obviously you will have, lectures dedicated on innovation. But how does, for example, global oncology in Africa differs from any other part of the world? What does it apply to us? What type of references could we use? I'm just throwing ideas, something that, perhaps would be interesting to the younger generation as well, in which journals should we publish and what type of, relevant science would be to us. So something that we could debate together, and something that perhaps it is covered in the book, but they would like maybe to see a different point of view, or people that they will have, different opinions, and which we could use it in a constructive, positive way as we approach global oncology. So that is all from my side. I'm looking forward to the next sessions in the next weeks and months to come.
Thank you very much, Christine. And all your points are already considered, are taken into consideration. First of all, our panels that is part of the course, this is brainstorming different views. The value of having a book is for the first time, you will not find it, I speak modestly, you will not find this collection in any textbook, in any conference. This collection of data, which is not mine, not yours, but it's present. The question is why it is not implemented. This is very, and as I agree with Will and David, that one of the important part of the course is implementing, to see, and one important element of implementation is to see the barriers of to how to implement, and this could be human barriers, could be cost, maybe economic, maybe scientific, maybe how is not comfortable to use, many other causes, and social and many other things. Second point, that so we have panels. Part of this course is not only we diffuse the message first, and then we'll have panels, and please help us in this, in inviting even experts in such. We don't expect to come to say to us, yes, your point is taken, your point is good. No, I would like just to agree on the general concept. I think this is not my concept, this is concept agreed by all, that we need really to increase access, affordability to better value cancer care. No discussion about this, but discussion about how and why. The book and this lecture are just the base, and on every lecture we say, please send feedback. We have link that feedback come to most of the emails come to most of the experts. Second point, that these panels also have a schedule based on the lectures that we present now, and on the chapters. Then we will invite panels, and we hope that ASCO will be help also in with their discussion, with their views, and e-cancer and others. About leave meeting, I think this reply could be by Will to during the summit. Will be very exciting part of the summit, if we can, after all this discussion, not to start everything from zero, but after all this discussion and recommendation, and what we arrive to in panels, and what we publish from it, and then to have a very productive and fruitful meeting, mature meeting, with all this opinion together. So I leave this to Will to in the summit of in June, to be a big part of it for this face-to-face meeting, after, not to just to start everything from zero or presentation, but come with some conclusion to be crystallized and to be how to be implemented. So it will be very one point positive point forward, and not to discuss everything from zero. We need you all the way, Christina, please. And so, if you allow me, I would like to Will, who runs the show, all the show, and if I hear from you, and I will be very grateful if you, from now, we arrange this to in the summit to have this part, and even inside rooms for some details, not only the general talks, will be with objective to come out with concrete and some recommendations that after 1 year you will see, of courses, or other meeting and other discussion, we'll see what happened in the real world. Will, please, if you, I would like to hear from you. Will?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think it would be a great follow-up, to be able to have that that session, that concrete follow-up during the next Global Health Catalyst Summit in June. I also think, just to kind of echo, the enthusiasm around being able to, close the gap from just, knowledge to doing. I think that's the importance of this course. And, with the panel discussions, we can actually then open that up also for, interaction and feedback from all participants. And like you always say, the focus is for all. Everybody can participate, and provide your inputs. So I think that's one of the exciting aspects of this. Really looking forward to, being able to contribute in a way that will make it a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. So we count on you to lead and to direct the show and to invite all these distinguished colleagues and directors. Professor Kiro Sikora, if Professor Kiro Sikora, you are with us? And Bashkim and Tawfiq after? Professor Kiro Sikora, you left? Oh, yeah. Oh, Bashkim.
I don't.
Okay.
Hi, Ahmed. I don't see
No.
Professor Sikora. I think he
Oh, okay.
already
Okay. I
left.
think he's left. Yes. Okay. So please, your comments, and you are one of the leaders.
So Happy New Year to all of you. Yes, a very interesting talk about the effectivity of different drugs. We have all the time, especially in low and middle income countries, in fact, the discussion about the positive list that we call. There's a small list that the health system of each country will support for the treatment of cancer patients. Otherwise, it's almost impossible for them to get these drugs because they are very expensive. And for example, now in January, in our country, the Ministry of Health is preparing this positive list. But unfortunately, as usually, this positive list is mainly dictated by the pharmaceutical companies. And they are doing everything to do a lot of, even corruption is involved in this sense, that they want to push their medicaments for cancer treatment. And I think one of the issues that we have to fight here is how to try to minimize the influence of big pharmaceutical companies into imposing their medicaments, although they don't have the real effect on the treatment itself. And here, I think it should come into light, in my opinion, more scientific research on the effectivity of these medicaments, independent scientific research. This scientific research should be more visible to the community and to stakeholders so that we have a more push on the stakeholders to decide for more effective medicaments and not only for those that are imposed by pharmaceutical companies. And I think we should work together, not only research, but also publication houses, and try to really bring it somehow to doctors in each country, to oncologists in each country, because mostly oncologists decide about the medicaments that they are going to use. And people have a very bad experience. For example, in the last few months in our country, the oncology department was for months closed. And, you know, it was the only oncological department that was doing chemotherapy, immunotherapy, radiotherapy, and it was closed because the doctors, they were even selling the medicaments in the black market and not giving to patients. So it's a huge, big problem that we have to address. Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you very much, Bashkim. You put your finger on very important issue. In fact, this is what we are doing together. We are not fighting for pharmaceutical company. We are not fighting radiotherapy company. But we, in this Green Initiative, is unique in something. It's not the expression win-win is not our invention. It is present since ever. But how we do it in smart way, in all will win. We say to pharmaceutical company, we say to government, we say to doctors, we say to all, if we continue like we are, there will be crisis for all. They all will gain more like this. Because we not correct the world, we not correct the incentive of people, but we change this incentive to gain more, how it will be do. So that is why I hope that till the summit, not to start to discuss our the points that we discuss here, but till that moment. That is why I said this is a program will finish in June, finish the first part with the summit. So at that time, we'll have more mature solution, not me and not you only, but all. So I would like also that we involve industries, we involve researcher, cancer researcher, we involve some of the people of leaders from organizations, because frankly, organizations are supported by pharmaceutical company. All big meeting, ASCO, ESMO, ESTRO, is without pharmaceutical company, you will find no clients. If I make these webinars supported by pharmaceutical company, you will find I can guarantee for you at least 300 or 400 persons, at least. And if I do in live with some gala dinner after, or some vacation in some tour or something before or after the session, you will find 1,000 persons. I can guarantee this to you. And I will not prepare anything, will not prepare lectures, will not prepare anything, because pharmaceutical company give you the lecture, give you the slides, no problem, and give you the outcome. We know this we are living this, but you are not fighting this. We say that the fate of all this is catastrophe for all. No economy can support this. Even in the United States, there are big fraction of people in the United States are now bigger, more fraction can't pay all these new drugs. So what is about East Europe? It's about our countries. If some people have some medicaments or some radiotherapy or whatever the treatment, or immunotherapy or whatever, this is via some sort of corruption. We know this. We know this. So, but this system cannot continue like this. So this is why we say how we do smart solution, not to come to give talks about the disparities and equality. How to solve this? This is your role and my role. This is your role, how to make radiotherapy available with the existing, how machine work well, how to treat more number of patients. All this is possible. I am very confident, and I am very sure that there are hundreds of our colleagues have many nice proposal and scientific on scientific basis, but we need to be combined together. So it is not just decision. These videos is just a base, is a document. Please forward it, Bashkim and Christina and Carol, he is left now, and Aj, and will forward and keep it as document. behind people not come to you because there is no incentives. Okay, you tell him frankly, dear doctor in Chicago, dear doctor in London, dear doctor in Cairo, gain less and prescribe these drugs or give less sessions. So this is my discussion with Will always. The question of hypofractionation is not scientific only, but it is it is because number of fractions and radiotherapy and all this is gained for radiation oncologists, for the hospital, and for all. And if there's some effect, there is hospitalization. This is vicious circle. We have to cut it and to raise the flag that the world cannot continue like this. But we say this not by talks, but by scientific evidence. In the upcoming session, you will find just example 7 lecture of scientific evidence about drugs only. So after will be about radiotherapy and about others. This is just what we present here, and that's what we present in the book and the lectures. But there are many. If you let me talk, I'll talk into tomorrow morning about many things published. And as Will pointed that the problem we are now in the point of providing solution, providing from the published. But the next question is how to implement this, because there are many barriers in the real world. And it is just to finish, in New England Journal, a doctor said this clearly. Why I prescribe this drug, while I have a commission of this amount of dollar, while I can prescribe the other drug, and I know this is not more effective, but I'll gain from it 10 times. It is written in a New England Journal. It is not in yellow journals or media or something. It is. I wrote this in all my reference, all our reference coming from respectable journals. David Kerr and me, I published that 81% of published in the Nature review, in 80% of publications about new drugs are economically biased. And this is not new. This is to confirm what is published before in GCO and published. We just make a confirmation for this. So the story is known, but how to do this? You are the pioneers, all of you, the old like me and the young. You are the pioneer who raised the flag. Every one of you is very important, but you'll not find the way easy because there are many incentives against. Please raise the flag. Please go together. This is just a start, and I'm sure that tomorrow this will be the fashion of all conference and teaching. Thank you all. We close today, and we'll meet next week. You receive the videos and all the previous video you will have. So it is not just session. Session is just document, to just element. And please forward the previous videos to all and receive comments. And we need comments and innovation and critics even and other modification. Welcome all. We are very open for this. Thank you all. Until next week. Thank you all. And bye-bye all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.